Bem-vindos a mais um episódio do Don't Panic, It's Organic. Hoje a gente está gravando um podcast para a nossa playlist Hanging with the Pros. E o tópico de hoje é Link Building. A gente vai falar o que vem pela frente em Link Building. Para falar sobre isso, eu convidei uma grande amiga minha. Eu tive o prazer de ser entrevistado por ela no Brighton SEO alguns anos atrás. E ela é uma das referências mundiais em Link Building. Ela é fundadora da Digital Olympus, uma agência especializada em link building, que gosta também de conquistar links e cavalos. Com vocês, Alexandra Tachalova. Alex, please, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Don't Panic, It's Organic. And please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Filippo, for having me. First of all, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure and honor being here today as your guest. And so my name is Alex. I'm running a link building agency that is called Digital Olympus. And so what we do, right, we do a bit of a combination of off-page and on-page SEO, just because links without a solid foundation like on-page SEO doesn't work well. So as a result, sometimes we have to educate our clients about on-page SEO, search intent, why, they have to keep updating their pages, why they need to write better content and so on. But it's just kind of the need, right? Talking about on-page SEO is just coming from the fact that links itself is not really enough, right, to outrun the competition in search engine results and so on.
So Digital Olympus, it's this, could we call it an overall SEO agency, but it's specialized in on-page and link building?
Yeah, I wouldn't tell
one complements
like
the other,
SEO,
right?
Yeah, I would say off-page SEO. That will be the best way to describe it.
Great. In my Portuguese intro, Alex, I don't know if your Portuguese is that refined now,
No,
but
no.
I mentioned that the first time we've met was during an interview, if you remember, at Brighton SEO, I think it was 2017 for Pitchbox, where it was the opposite.
So.
You interviewed me. Do you remember that talk?
Yeah, absolutely. I do remember it perfectly well. Thank you very much for reminding me. And so, yeah, that was a great Brighton SEO, just straight before COVID, I think, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, I think it was 2017 or 18, maybe. I can't remember.
I think 18, and that was just, one of among my last kind of conferences before COVID. I think.
Right, really? Oh, I see. So, Alex, I like to start this question with everybody, even though obviously you are in the SEO industry, even though it's an off-page SEO and so on. But for me, SEO, I stumbled upon SEO. A friend, I was working in this bar in Spain, where I met what is my associate hedgehog today, Alan. And he introduced me to the word of SEO. How did SEO enter your life or your professional life, let's say it?
I have one word, Simraj.
Oh, really?
So, but here are the truth, right? The truth that I joined Semrush not for marketing, right? I joined Semrush to help them kind of integrate in their live Salesforce. So I used to be more on a project management side, and I used to be more like closer to developers, I would say, right? So we've been kind of integrating Salesforce into Semrush business. And the first, I think, roughly 2 years, maybe a bit less, I had very little understanding of what Semrush as a tool provides to users. Because I was aware about their database, I was aware about how the sales process looks like, and so on and so forth, while I had literally, no to little understanding about SEO, all those wrappers and whatever it is.
So that's new to me, but good.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then what happened, the founder, right, Alec, he suggested me to do something for marketing. And I thought, why not? Well, it looks like, a solid challenge, and I love challenges, right? And I thought, I'd love to give it a try, definitely. And so, I started working as a marketing representative, and then I grew into a marketing director and so on, right? So, but here is the starting point.
I really didn't know that. That's novelty to me. I have a really long-term relationship with SEMrush. Dates back in the 2012 when Maria was working for Brazil here, and she kind of like approached me to do some webinars for SEMrush and help them translate the platform and so on. And then SEMrush has been a big part of my SEO career as well, because I remember 2017, I think I was invited to Summer Jam. And when I saw the email, I said, is this right? Because they were like, oh, you amongst 40 other references in the world. I said, is it right? Is it really me? I contact Maria saying, no, yes, Felipe. Right? It was good. And it was a big push into my career. So I didn't know that you worked for SEMrush. That's interesting. And in SEMrush, obviously, introduced you to the world of SEO. So what year was that around? Sorry, if I may ask.
Yeah, for sure. I think that was 2015, something like that. Maybe a bit earlier, something around. Because when I joined SEMrush, we had only 12 people, including me, and including 2 co-founders. So that was a very, very small team. And basically, they didn't really have anyone on the marketing side back those days. So they had a person that was doing a bit of marketing and, support. But that was very much it.
So was that, I believe Fernando was there already, because he's one of the first.
No.
Prior to Fernando?
I hired Fernando.
No.
Yes.
Really? Yes. Oh, that he never told me that one, because he told me. And Fernando, if you're listening to this one, yeah, I remember when you were telling me.
Fernando, I remember our interview perfectly well, because I asked him, do you know what is Salesforce? He was like, yeah, I know what is Salesforce. I was like,
there you go. Because I remember him telling me, because he was one of the guys that hired Olga, which is like one of the VPs and so on, an incredible professional.
Exactly. Fernando hired Olga.
So I'm walking up the chain here. That's interesting to know. So good. Well, that's the really, really early stages of SEMrush. That's very interesting to know. Good. Yes. So, and all of that, why did you choose after you learned about SEO and you saw that you start working with it, why did you kind of like move into specializing into link building or PR
that
or
wasn't
content?
The plan, right? So, you never know what kind of, I've been just experimenting, right? When I left SEMrush, right? And I kind of felt that I wanted to give it a try on my own, right? Being an entrepreneur and so on, right? And I didn't really have any solid plan in terms of what kind of digital marketing, kind of aspect I wanna go with, what kind of digital marketing services I wanna provide. But I knew from the very beginning that I'm very good with organic traffic acquisition, while I have very little understanding of paid traffic channels and so on. So I started to just kind of almost probably giving a try of everything, like content marketing, right? Social media. I literally tried everything, but nothing worked as well as link building.
All right.
So that was just, a trial and error.
So to contextualize my next question, what year was that? When did you kind of like moved away from SEMrush and so I'm going to do my business in SEO? And I think link building and organic traffic acquisition is what I want to do. Roughly, when was that?
2000. Let me open my LinkedIn.
All right.
Because I don't remember. I'm a little bit lost, right, in those years.
Yeah, I always get that lost as well.
Yeah, like 1 second. Okay, so my LinkedIn tells me that I left SEMrush in June 2015.
Right. So that's when you started your business.
Yeah, and by the way, when we met each other, right, at Brighton SEO, that was exactly when I started doing link building. By the way, Peachbox, they were kind of, my very first client that was a combination of content marketing, influencer marketing, and link building. And that's exactly the moment when I met Kevin Indig. And he used to work at G2. And since we were kind of building a bit of links for Beachbox, he told me, look, Alex, I really love what you do. I want you to do the same for G2.
All right. That's interesting. I met Kevin at one of the summer jams. I think it was in Finland, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very nice.
Kevin, he's besides being a brilliant marketer, right? He's one in a million in terms of his personality, I think.
No, definitely. Yeah, I was really amazed with not just Kevin, but in special Kevin, but all the people that I met for these summer jams. Because I was so focused even though I was working in the UK and Spain and so on, I was so focused on the US market that when I participated in these 4 editions of summer jams, I met so many incredible people. Bastian Green, Kevin Indig, Arnold's another incredible human being as well, which was very interesting for me to see that the community in Europe was so well developed, and it was amazing to see meet all these people, even though Kevin is not from Europe, is it? It's American or German?
No, Kevin, he's from Germany initially.
Germany, right?
But he moved to the US because he has basically 2 passports, right?
Right, I see. So back in the days, Alex, when I started, as a matter of fact, when I started doing SEO back in 2008, I started doing 2006 or 8. I can't remember. I need to open my LinkedIn here, but I won't wait. But around that time, I started doing link building. That was my first step into SEO. And I was doing back then directory submissions, article marketing, the day-to-day stuff that we were doing. So, and obviously from those times to now, things changed a lot. How much has changed link building from when you started to what you do now? If has changed anything, or you're still following the same process as when you started?
I think we still do the same, but on a different level, right? So because whenever you've been doing something for quite some time, you start to look at things from a completely different perspective. And what previously, right, hasn't been so important to you, right? It becomes very important today, right? Just, due to all the previous experience and due to, having maybe, you're kind of capitalizing on your experience. So that is, we've been always building links, the ones basically, the idea behind our approach is just to build the link that you love to get organically, right? But by some reason you don't get them. Right. Just because people don't really know you. The problem with links is just because, if you look at this and kind of explaining it in a very simple way. In the majority of cases, you have this type of brand awareness and reach, right? That kind of, you're here. While you want to kind of have way bigger number of links referring to a brand on a monthly basis. And the reason why you're not getting those links just because you're here, people, your possible link velocity, right, is limited to your current circle, your network. That is the problem, right? You can't really link back to something that you don't really know, even though it might be something brilliant. But unless you really stumble upon this and become familiar, right, with this brand, only after this you can lean back to this, right? So, and that is the problem of literally any brand at the early stages, just because they don't really reach. They can't really, get as many links as they'd love to, just because of, these limitations.
Right. That said, I'm going to switch things here from our little script that we had previously. You said, okay, people need to know you and need to have a reputation and awareness, so people make things linking to you easier. Isn't that where a good asset makes a whole difference? I mean, when you build a research or you do a campaign or I don't know, any type of content that can be used as a reference. So what I call the linkable asset, doesn't that make a difference? Even though, say, Hedgehog is a well-known SEO agency, but we just came up with this research to understand search behavior and it has unique data. Does that help? So rebuild or increase the likelihood of getting the link, or you still need the reputation behind it? Did that make sense?
I think, I understand. You are talking about very good things that actually in our market, I think people tend to forget about and tend to neglect just because, okay, you will create this research, right? You might even do an extra step by involving some experts and so on. But the problem with amplification. So you still have the same audience.
Okay.
So the level of, one more time, and then it's quite interesting, actually. I think mathematically, it can be easily calculated what is the chance of getting link if you have this or that traffic. So based on your audience, on the size of your audience, and based on how many visitors do you get, you can actually calculate your future, for any website kind of link velocity, if we are talking for sure about solid brands, not affiliate projects or something like that, if we are talking about real brands and with the real products and so on. That being said, circling back to your main question, I think that will become a great source of links once you reach the certain point of visibility. But one more time, it's not going to generate links just because you delivered this content. While it might work, because we used to have a client, and if I tell their name, you will tell me what? I don't really know this agency. It's not really something, big or well-known. It's a quite small UK-based agency that has been able to improve their link velocity and the flow of organic links by creating the right pages and building strategically, with our help, links back to those pages. And since those pages are kind of stat pages, like TikTok stat, for instance, they get tons of links and they get tons of traffic, but this doesn't help their brand become more visible. So the links is kind of solving the problem of ranking higher and getting more organic traffic, while their brand is still lacking this brand awareness element.
Oh, that's really interesting. But I wanna touch back into that in a second. You mentioned quite a few times link velocity. Would you mind explaining to our SEO community here in Brazil what that is and how important is that in our overall link building and SEO strategy?
Well, that is basically the number of links that you get organically, right? And you can kind of try to predict your future link velocity based on your current results and your current efforts, what you are going to produce, and knowing some historical data, you might try to create some focus, right, on your future link velocity. So basically, that is just the number of links, the number of SEO meaningful links, right? We are not talking about web spam or the links that are not really helping you, right? When it comes to, getting additional either visibility or brand authority, right? So we are talking about most probably if we use Ahrefs, right? To measure those links, right? So I would say domain rating starting from 40 and organic traffic from the right country starting from 2000. That will be more or less, okay link, right? So not perfect one, but if the link comes from a website that represents a legit brand, that will be even better, right? Because, recommendations, because links are recommendations in reality. If they come from legit brands that are relevant to your niche, then that is exactly what you need.
Very, very interesting that. So that said, that makes completely sense what you said about the amount of audience that you have, the amount of traffic that you receive, because that will definitely directly influence your link velocity, because the more...
Yeah, the possibility of getting a link, basically, because link velocity in other ways is also, might say, like if you're talking about the future link velocity, then your chances of getting a link.
Right. But that cannot be, that can be influenced by, let's say, an outreach service where you produce the content, then you approach specialized website, niche websites, news portals to talk about your content, for instance. So does that outreach influence the link velocity, which would then benefit your brand and your organic rankings, or not? Tough question.
Email outreach. That is, something from one side. It's, if it's delivered well, it's so beautiful. Once it's delivered poorly, it's so ugly, right? Just because whenever I open my mailbox, whenever I open my request to connect on LinkedIn, it's just kind of holy moly, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know, definitely I know what you mean. But I think outreach has been, I forgot the word here, but marginalized, let's say it. People talk too bad. People think about, when you say outreach, you just said, I think about all those out of the blue emails that come into my inbox, or all those people's, oh, hello, sir, I have loads of links here that you can buy from me, blah, blah, blah. But personally, I think in our level, the outreach is done differently, because like what we do here at Hedgehog, we use a myriad of link building techniques for our clients, but all of them based on what? Building an asset, helping that position our client as an authority on their field. And then with that content, with that campaign, we approach websites like news portals or niche websites with a content that mixed information. It's not out of the blue. Oh, look at my content. I'm saying that I'm offering them new newsworthy content that will reference back to our content. I see this is like a more professionalized outreach service, but without outreach, you can't get your content in front of the right people. Do you share the same view into it?
No, I think not necessarily. I would argue here, right? Okay. Because you can use paid channels. You can nowadays, right? You have some Slack communities, you have newsletters. There are way better ways actually to reach. If the goal is not links, if the goal is just amplify your content, I think there are way better channels to do that will actually lead to way more meaningful results, rather than just sending email outreach emails, just because I think the main problem with email outreach that you need to actually, we've already reached a certain level of noise, and your message has to go through this noise. And the problem that the chances that it's going to be associated with something either lame, just because we've already, the industry already set up some expectations, right? Whenever you open your inbox, I always look at each and every email outreach pitch. Why? Just because I'm interested. I'm a professional. I want to also learn, right? And sometimes I find something interesting, right? For instance, we have our own Slack community. I mean, like Falling Builders, we recently launched it. We have there almost 500 people. And sometimes I share there something, right? Because whenever I find something interesting, I always kind of, take a screenshot, then, write down my comments, just because sometimes, you can learn something from that, right? But 99% that is just prep. right? So, poorly delivered, sent to wrong people, poorly delivered personalization, no personalization, and so on and so forth. The list is ongoing. So the problem with email outreach nowadays is that, well, first of all, you have to go through all possible spam folders, right? You have to avoid them, and which is also a huge problem, right? Then whenever, even if your email is successfully landing in the right folder, the chances that it's going to be just deleted or ignored just because, right? And most probably you're going to outreach the websites and the people that get, because you're going to outreach content marketers, right? You want to outreach the people that somehow related or somehow, they are somehow associated with content, they produce content, right? So, one more time, that is the problem with email outreach. Right. So, one more time, if the goal is amplification, right, and reaching wider audience, then I think there are way better ways of solving this problem.
Right. That said, so we can summarize this subject here, which is very interesting. I really like her approach. To be honest, I never thought of it that way. And as you're saying, I was thinking here, how can I do that? It sounds, I'm a very kind of like, if things are working, I stick with it. But
absolutely, I
think that's where we're heading to our main topic of our chat here, which is where link building is heading. I was thinking, okay, should I make a bet and trying to just increase the traffic to my assets and then see if the links will come, which is more or less what you're doing. Can you share with us some of the techniques that you're doing to not just amplify the content, but to get the content in front of the right people and build the links to your clients? Because I guess you also have some goals with each client. So how do you go by achieving these goals of building links to the clients without doing the outreach?
Well, for sure we do outreach. I've never told you that we don't do outreach, right? And we really do content amplification, just because that is not the scope of services. Perfect. But instead of sending email outreach pitches and hoping for the best, we decided, and that was from the very beginning, we decided to take a completely different approach. We decided to build relationship with the right people, with editors. So right now in our network, we have more than 1,000 editors, right? And we continuously we do ongoing outreach of them. And actually the community that we have, it's also the part of this kind of relationship game or whatever it is, the part of the whole story, right? The way we approach link building, because I don't really like transactional relationships. It doesn't matter whether we are talking about digital marketing, professional life, or my personal life. I don't think and I don't believe that things should be transactional in our life, just because, and link building is actually very transactional, right? In reality, just because the only reason why you're reaching out to someone, you just want to, the link, and that is very much it. But instead of this, we decided to do the following. We decided to become kind of, let's say, like a link building kind of agent that will be connecting our clients with the right editors, while we will be keeping the relationship with those editors on our side.
Good. So build relationships, not outreach.
I mean, for sure we do outreach, because if you want to continue growing your network, you have to do email outreach. But the question is what kind of pitch you are going to use, right? How you are going to, and what kind of websites you're going to outreach, because we've done a lot of different email outreach techniques, campaigns, and so on. And we felt that the best way actually to kind of, connect with the new editors will be just using our current network. So basically, whenever we do even cold outreach, we kind of look first of all at the website that are somehow connected with our current network.
Got it.
So instead of sending a completely cold pitch, what we do, right? And we have some data, to represent it. We tell, okay, you are connected with this website, and we know this website very well. We work with this person. Here is the name of the person. We've done that with this editor. So, we want to see if you'd love to join, first of all, our community and, you know, exchange knowledge and talk about link building, then secondly, right, find, you know, just discuss some possibilities of working together, you know, kind of seeing whether we can actually, you know, get you links, you can get links back to us, and so on. So talk about, you know, some mutually beneficial relationships here.
That's a very interesting approach. So, which I'm very fond of it as well, because just simply, hey, do you like my content? Would you like to link back to it? That, you know, the likelihood of that not going through is very high. So building the relationship first, and then going into offering or exchanging some favors, let's say it. It's a very, very interesting approach, and I bet is a very effective approach as well, which I believe so. And I even have that with my team, because it's not more or less like in that front, because what I do is I tell the link building team that they have a budget to establish a relationship with the big news editorials here in Brazil, the editors, the reporters.
Yeah,
so, you know, invite them for lunch, or invite them, or
good.
send, you know, this is what I've been doing. So, and a while back, when I was more into the operational side of things, I was doing that a lot, because I was living in São Paulo, which is one of the major city here in Brazil. All the big news portals are there, and so on. So I used to kind of like do some events, little events, to invite them to talk about, explain to them what link building is, what SEO is, how beneficial it can be, you know, demystifying some of the things that, oh, if you link out, you're going to lose reference, you're going to lose the audience, and so on. And that kind of like connected me to a lot of these big news rooms here in Brazil. And another thing that really helped was that I did work for like consultancy services for the big one, for me, almost all the major news portals here in Brazil. So I managed to get in front of these editors, which helped me establish these relationships. So I think we are kind of like on the same page here, but I will definitely talk to my team and send this video to the team, so can then enhance their approach.
Yeah, and you're welcome to
building
join
relationships.
Our community if you'd love to.
Please, yeah, I'd love to.
Related to link building, and not only, right? So it's just always about, not only about links, right? So we do kind of do some cleanings and, you know, kind of, you know, discussing some burning topics, and we do have really good guys there. I mean, like from very good brands. And so, you know, that is very, yeah, because what we are trying to do, which is very important, even like, you know, even though the community is about, for first of all, off pages, so we try to fight with all the possible, I would say, communication flows that are happening around transactional topics. It's like, you know, I'm looking for that or this link. So we try to explain them and actually to teach them about, you know, the way, you know, what kind of, you know, about a genuine approach to link building, also doing things more in a more meaningful way, rather than just, you know, talking about links. Because at the end of the day, if you are a good brand, right, if you kind of, and if you work on a link building campaign, then you can do so many things whenever you kind of connect with another good brand that is relevant to your audience. So it's not only about links. You can do some co-marketing campaigns. You can run a webinar together. You can kind of, if you have a podcast, you can invite this for, you know, someone from there, you know, exchange news. So there are so many things, right, that you can do besides those stupid links, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, because you know, link per se is not going to change your life. While if you establish a really good workflow and saying, okay, you know, we have an influencer marketing department, or we have, you know, I don't know, a department that is running some events, and we connect with the right brands, and then we take it through the whole funnel, right? So everyone in our company can benefit from this connection. That will be, you know, a way better approach.
I totally agree with you, Alex. I would love to join this community. So yeah, let me know how I can
absolutely.
exchange and share our experiences there as well, because we do have a lot of things going on, not even here in Brazil and in the UK, but mainly in Brazil. You know, we're doing some interesting stuff here with some of our clients. Then, but so far our chat here, these 30 minutes that we have been talking, is like more has opened up my mind for different approaches or ideas that I never thought about it. All that you said,
you're too kind.
No, it's true. It's true. All that you said, it pushes me. Do you think all this approach is why people are in the industry are talking a lot about digital PR? Some nowadays, it's even bigger than the outreach from all these people that approach us on LinkedIn and so on. Is that why you think that the community is seeing so much value into using digital PR as part of link building? And do you guys do that?
I think digital PR is just, because link building is associated with some spammy emails, dear sir, and so on. So digital PR is just kind of a new fancy word that actually, kind of setting a distance between link building while it's kind of the same. So in my understanding, because I've recently been talking about this with Andy Christodina in my podcast, and I was kind of telling, like, look, what will be the best way to kind of maybe brainstorm a new word to set apart yourself from all those spammers? He was like, well, there is the right word out there. It's called digital PR. But I was like, but digital PR is a completely different story, just because what you do, right? You build links on newspapers, right? On media outlets. And that's a completely different story, just because you have to build a relationship with journalists instead of building a relationship with editors. And journalists is a completely different audience, right? And we don't really do digital PR because of this, just because you can't be everywhere, right? And also the biggest difference for me between digital PR, in my understanding, one more time, and link building, that digital PR is all about creating some specific news, right, that are good or can resonate well with this particular group of journalists, in order to secure either brand mentions on links. It doesn't matter follow or no follow, just because the biggest goal is just kind of get those brand mentions to improve your brand awareness, right?
Right.
While link building is focused on, in the majority of cases, let's be honest, building links to pages that no one wants to give a link to. For instance, both for content pages. Who wants to give a link to
product pages?
To product page. Even like the ones that are targeting your bottom funnel search terms. Who wants to link back to those pages? No one wants. Trust me. We work with very good brands. We work with very well-known brands. They get tons of links organically. Does anyone link back to those links besides us to those pages? For sure, no. For sure, no. Just because they are not good enough. They are not really talking about something interesting. They don't really give enough linking angle.
You, as you were saying, I have this thing in the back of my mind. I was really wanting to run through someone like you, Alex, and I think that's the right moment. I do a lot of digital PR, because basically the way my approach to digital PR is get a topic that is important for my client, build a campaign around that, build the assets where I can have the link resource coming to, and then kind of like work with the middleman strategy where all the links goes to that asset, and then I distribute to internal pages. That's my approach to digital PR. But going back to relevance into Google's algorithm, you need to have the link must come from a source that's relevant to your industry. And most of the time, the news outlets, they are not references, because let's say I have this football boot company that I'm working with, and I managed to get a link from, say, Sky Sports in the football section. Okay, that's good. But that is not as much as a reference as it would be a specialized football boots website or blog or so on. And then that's why I think the value of digital PR links, they are not as good as people tend to think they are. Do you share the same idea? Or
you know what? I think they're extremely important and they're extremely powerful just because being a brand nowadays is the biggest ranking factor.
right.
And
Okay.
digital PR links are kind of the most powerful links when it comes to building up your brand.
Ah, good. Very
So you know, those niche relevant links, they are great, but they can't really accelerate the process of you know, being kind of building up your brand and really kind of, you know, moving from this stage to another stage, if you know what I mean. So digital PR links, they play a huge role when it comes to, you know, you are, you know, at this level and you want to be there, right? At a completely different level. And then with the digital PR links, you can kind of jump, right? From this to that very easily. While with the, you know, link building, like, you know, and those relevant links from great brands, not really, I think. So, you know, they play a huge role when you want to really, you know, reach bigger results, bigger impact, right? And that is the reason why digital PR links, they are great, and they play a very big role when it comes to sales processes if people can utilize them well. So for instance, right? For instance, for the B2B niche, if I get featured on Forbes, Entrepreneur, and I've been featured somewhere, right, like this, and, you know, if, right, one more time, you know, I was featured there, but not really related to link building, and that is a completely different story, right? But if, right, let's imagine one day I'm lucky enough to be featured in a content talking about link building as an expert, then what can I do, right? Whenever I need to close a client, I will take this article and say, you know, because I've recently had a conversation with a potential client and tell them, look, you have to take, you know, the minimum order like that. We can't really adjust it, but, you know, his counter argument, I don't really know you. I don't really trust you, right? So what did I do? And I was like, look at this, right? Or New York Times or something like that. Boom, boom, boom.
Right. So it does help you with the reputation, and
yeah, they help me with a lot of things, right? Or I want to speak at one of the conferences, right? One of the digital marketing conferences. And what I can do, right? I'm going to, you know, guys, I've been recently featured. Boom, 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 right? There's like, you're on the news.
Yeah, I do that, especially with the speaking events that I do internationally based on Brazil. So Brighton SEO and Stay on the Beach and other places that I spoke at. I definitely use that to build my reputation, add to my pitch deck. So it helps me build that reputation. So what you said about that reminds me of three things that the late Eric Ward used to say about different types of links. Links that build traffic, links that help with rankings, and links that build your brand. So that's more or less exactly what you're saying, right? The links that we go to, the traditional link building is to help rankings. The digital PR links and mentions are to build your brand, and so on, right?
Yeah, but for sure, you know, one more time, niche relevant links, they are great also when it comes to building up your brand, just because, you know, one more time, getting a link from Forbes is just cool and adding you extra credit. But if you think over that, you know, Forbes is not really the best media outlets when it comes to link building, right? So if Brian Dean, for instance, from Backlink, you know, writes about you, that is a completely different story. So, you know, one more time, I think you have to understand that the importance of links most probably will remain the same, but they might be, you know, the way we look at things might change, right? With the change of Google search engine results, search generative, results, and so on, right? So, but being a brand is what can help you not only when it comes to rankings, but also to closing your clients, right? To building up better relationships with other industry players and so on. So, links are still the foundation of everything, because that's how we can say like, okay, I know Filippo, right? And actually that is the link, we can say, right?
Got it. Makes total sense. That said, Alex, let's go to the topic of our question, because I think also this is a nice setup to ask you the $1 million question about this chat here. What is the future of link building? What lies ahead? Where do you see the industry going from now on, especially now that Google is saying that they're not links are not the top 3 rankings, and all this that we have chat, and then all this relation with brand awareness, brand reputation? What lies ahead? Where link building is heading?
Well, as I've already mentioned, I strongly believe that building being a brand, building up a great brand, is the only way of surviving in the current, especially if you are part of a very competitive industry. Let's imagine, right? Let's talk about link building. I am a part of extremely competitive landscape, right? Because nowadays, literally, any Indian freelancer is ready to give you links, and we have so many link building agencies, you would be amazed, right? And the only way to differentiate things, right, and to tell, besides approach and blah blah blah, that is all kind of cool market kind of sales stuff, and that is the way you can actually talk with clients. But if you want to get clients aboard, you want to get a stable flow of clients, right? The only way to do that is to use your brand, right? Is to invest in your brand. And being honest, I have on my list, and I've already started the process of looking for a brand manager, because I feel that was something we overlooked overly. And we've been relying too much on my connections and just on me, while we haven't been really investing enough in Digital Olympus. And I think that was one of the biggest, the biggest mistakes that I did. And I'm very regretful, being honest. But now I kind of, one more time, I realized this, and I just want to make very, very strong kind of game plan, right? And we do have a lot of things, we have our own podcast, right? We actually, I can announce it now, we will have our own conference, offline one here in the Netherlands. So we do have confirmed speakers. So Aleida, Solis, Kevin, and Zig, they all will be there. You're very welcome to join us as well if you'd love to. As either attendee or a speaker, we can have a chat about this separately, right? So we do kind of, we do a lot of things. And by the way, I recently signed a contract with, maybe Arish, that runs tech, women tech SEO community.
Yes.
And
women in tech,
yeah, women in tech, exactly. And we kind of, now I can proudly announce that we are among their sponsors. So we started to do a lot of different, I would say, like different activities related to just branding and growing our overall brand awareness, because I feel that will be the only power, right, that will help you move faster and reach better goals. So I believe in a brand per se, and I think links, right, the right links, they're playing a huge role here.
Right. I couldn't be happier to hear that, Alex, because this is what I believe. This is what I've been doing with Hedgehog over the years, you know, trying to build our reputation. We kind of like doing some exclusive research for Brazil. We have this research called State of Search Brazil, where we try to understand how the search behaviors and how search influences the day-to-day of the ordinary Brazilian folks, which is we're going to the fourth year of that content. We have been featured by Think with Google, other blogs from Google, like naturally. Then it correlates to what you said naturally, because people are seeing that content. We are bringing a different approach. And that came to me because I noticed that people are using content from abroad, like backlinko researches and so on. And as I said, but this doesn't correlate to the Brazilian behavior. That's totally different. So I started doing so. And then we started being featured by many of these references. You already spoke at one of our events, SEO por Elas, because it's just an event.
I remember that was a brilliant event. I'm so sorry that I was actually, I felt so regretful that I couldn't join it offline, because the event itself was just brilliant. Everything looks so professional. You had a live stream, you had, a studio, everything looked just top notch.
Well, and so let's already make an official invitation for you for next year. We're doing that in the 8th of March.
Thank you.
So if you care to join us, I'll send you more details later, but it will go 8th of March with the 8th of March, 2024.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the invitation there for you.
Thank you very much, Filippo. You're just you're too kind. But I appreciate
it's a pleasure.
That
we want to have the.
I'm thrilled, and thank you very much.
No problem. We want to have always the reference to help the community down here, and it's an event that help us position ourselves, that we're always, helping women to be like the equalizer between everything. That there's no difference between men and women. As a matter of fact, here in the Hedgehog in Brazil, most of the high-end jobs, or like coordinators, managers, are all women. So
that is very nice. We have the same at Digital Olympus, but if I tell you, sorry, you wouldn't surprise, right?
I imagine that.
You see me, right?
And I think building the brands, and this is something very interesting, because I just did a talk and a nice event here in Brazil as well called SEO Summit, where I defend that SEO must be integrated to the overall marketing mix, the big marketing strategies.
I think that is the biggest misconception, to put SEO outside everything, because SEO is a very strong channel, and it has to be a part of everything. And sometimes it can even become one of the driving forces.
Exactly. And all that you said about branding and so on, that's where we need marketing, and marketing and SEO complement itself, or better saying,
absolutely.
SEO, it's a essential discipline of marketing nowadays, because when you connect all the dots, all that branding that's done by the marketing team very well can be directed to helping you rank well or dominate the rankings for your industry that you are working on.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think, also the future of link building is becoming an essential part of being integrated in the marketing processes. So being just, rather than a standalone discipline, being just a part, right? That kind of like a puzzle, right? You put it, and then it's all kind of interconnected, because you have a team that is doing some, events and, webinars and so on, and they acquire the audience, and then they work with this, they pass this audience to, maybe also this, this team of people that can talk with them, identify their needs, and seeing what's next, whether they are good, to deliver some other, you know, content marketing together or something like that, whether there is a chance of getting a link, whether they're, you know, and so on. So basically getting each lead, scoring it, and deciding what's next about each and every marketing lead, right?
That's exactly how I think, and let's fight together to put SEO into that marketing room, you know, like together under the eyes of the CMOs and so on.
Yeah, because, you know, people, they are kind of so focused. I mean, like, we want to just invest in, you know, in events or something, you know, or we want to just invest in paid channels, while in reality, right, it's a very tunnel view on everything, just because you know, the marketing is way bigger than just paid channels or event marketing or whatever it is, right?
Exactly.
And you know, one more time, you have to approach everything from very different perspective and evaluating things from, you know, different angles.
So if I may do a pitch for your event, I have a nice talk about how to integrate SEO to your global marketing strategies. That's a nice topic.
Yeah, I think
we can discuss it later.
Yeah, it's a very nice topic. Let's discuss this. Would love to see you actually talking and sharing the stage. And I'd love to, you know, kind of have a big diversity of different topics and people, even though, right, we'd love to talk about link building, but there should be, you know, one more time, enough topics about just, you know, one more time, having very, very well defined from one side, from other side, very well reversed, right, lineup, which is very important.
Well, let's talk about that later, and
Absolutely.
I'll definitely go as an attendee, but if I go as a speaker, I'll be even more delighted to do so. But
yeah, absolutely.
Alex, it's been a pleasure to having you here. It was a very enlightening talk. Definitely learned a lot, different ways of thinking about link building, where it's heading. I was glad to see some of it correlates to what I'm thinking, but you definitely have a very different and unique approach. So thank you very much for accepting to have this interview, this chat here with us. And any final words from you?
Thank you very much, Felipe, for having me, and let's fight for better marketing, right?
Great.
Because
great.
SEO is just marketing, right?
It is. It's
just marketing. So
exactly.
So we just need to be, you know, better marketers. We need to understand, you know, more high level things in order to be, you know, in order even to do, you know, link building, you have to have way more understanding about the other things beyond link building.
Perfect. I think that's, I couldn't end up with a better saying, like, let's be better marketeers. That's a phrase I'm going to take from our chat here. So Alex,
thank you very much, Felipe.
Thank you. I'm just going to do a little close up in Portuguese here, and then we sum things up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pessoal, foi isso então. Vocês viram que mais um grande papo aqui com a Alex. Falamos muito sobre link building, um approach totalmente diferente. Obrigado por vocês terem aí na audiência. Não esqueça de se inscrever no canal. E é isso. Até a próxima aqui no Don't Panic, It's Organic, com o canal Hanging with the Pros.